Learn about the pagan actor who hated Christians, infiltrated their community, sought to ridicule them, but converted and became a martyr in this episode of Faith and the Arts. The church historian Eusebius referred to the late 3rd century as a time of the little peace of the church. During this period, Christians were discriminated against, but nothing was written into state law. In the beginning of the 4th century, this was to change. Led by Emperors Diocletian, Maximian, Galerius, and Constantius, a series of edicts sanctioning severe state persecution against Christians occurred between the years 303 and 311-13, depending on the location. The first edict in 303 was sanctioned by Diocletian. Christians were purged from public offices, Christian churches were destroyed, as was much of their literature, and any Christian refusing to offer sacrifices to any of the traditional Roman deities was punished by death. During the early stage of this great persecution, there was a pagan actor, comedian, and leader of a theatrical group. His name was Genesius. He was well known but not of great repute, as acting was not considered a respectable occupation. Upon hearing that the Emperor Diocletian was going to visit Rome, Diocletian did not like Rome much and didn't live there, Genesius hoped to win the emperor's favour by performing a play that would mock and embarrass Christians. In order to make a good impression on the emperor, Genesius needed to do his research. So he infiltrated the Christian community by pretending to be a catechumen. He pretended to be someone who wanted to convert to the Christian faith, so be instructed by them, and then baptized. When learning about the sacrament of baptism, Genesius concluded that this sacrament would become the central theme of the play. He went back to his theatre company, told them what he had done and learned, and with their help, he wrote the play. The time for the performance had arrived. The emperor was ready to be entertained. Genesius played the role of a sick man needing to be baptized, and the emperor was thoroughly entertained. The mocking and ridicule was well accepted by him, that is, until the arrival of an important scene. An actor, playing the role of a priest, came on stage to baptize Genesius, who was playing a sick man. When this priest poured water on him, Genesius collapsed to the ground in agony. His fellow actors were confused. Was he improvising? What was going on? This was not part of the play. It was then that Genesius had a vision of the resurrected Christ, and at that moment, he became a believer. Deviating from the script, Genesius stood, turned to the emperor, and said, "I came here today to please an earthly emperor, but what I have done is to please a heavenly king. I came here to give you laughter, but what I have done is to give joy to God and his angels. From this moment on, believe me, I will never mock these great mysteries again. I now know that the Lord Jesus Christ is the true God, the light, the truth, and the mercy of all who have received his gift of baptism. O great Emperor, believe in these mysteries. I will teach you, and you will know the Lord Jesus Christ is the true God." The emperor's laughter turned to rage. He stopped the play then and there. He arrested Genesius, tortured him, beat him with rods, put him on a rack, lacerated him with iron hooks, and burned him with fire. All this so that Genesius would recant his words and make amends by giving sacrifice to the Roman gods. But Genesius did not recant. He was beheaded. By his witness, Genesius became a Christian martyr. his was a baptism by blood. When those Christians that had instructed Genesius heard what had happened, they took his body and buried him. Originally, he was buried in the cemetery of St. Hippolytus on the Via Tiburtina with other Christian martyrs in Rome. Years later, when Christianity became accepted throughout the Roman Empire, his body was exhumed and placed in the church of San Giovanni della Pigna near the Pantheon in Rome. Pope Gregory III honoured him in 741 by beautifying his tomb and the church. In 1591, his relics were transferred to a tomb in the church of Santa Susanna in Rome, where they lie to this day. Saint Genesius became the patron saint of artists, actors, comedians, and all those who work in the theatrical arts and cinema. He is also the patron saint of epilepsy, and his feast day is celebrated on August the 25th. Imagine artists today with the same conviction, the same fortitude as Saint Genesius. Willing to create art, to share a narrative, a worldview where artistic expression of truth, goodness and beauty not only participates in today's dialogue, but also challenges our religious sensibilities, our ideas, our philosophies, our worldviews. Not just creating artwork of what is, but importantly of what could be. We need artists who have courage so as to take up Pope Paul VI's call to make the invisible world accessible and intelligible. Artists who will take up the call and be guardians of beauty in this world.